Is this better than this? Yes, well it is. But is it 4 times better? I think it's something we should discuss. Let's talk about it. This video will be all about sucking solder. I said sucking, which is one of the key skills you need to learn if you want to successfully repair something like a Commodore 64 or a ZX Spectrum, or any other electronic device really. Being able to safely take a component off a circuit board is an important barrier to overcome, and something of a rite of passage. I've seen a few failed examples on my workbench. Sparky from the Specky from Hell series springs to mind.
I'd like to point to the damage on the surrounding traces here, and, well, everywhere really.
That suffered at the hands of someone who either didn't have the right tools for the job, or was just in a big hurry, or maybe just liked hurting tiny computers. When I first started repairs, like many others, I had a rubbish soldering iron and a traditional spring-loaded solder sucker, like this one. In fact, this actual one. Using this thing is a skill in its own right, and veteran repairers such as Adam Commodore Lad have got the skill of this thing down to a fine art. But it's not something I've ever felt very comfortable using myself. For some reason, I just can't coordinate getting the nozzle sealed over the target area before it's too late, and the solder becomes solid again. And so after seeing the Moo gun in use on RNC being wielded by lovely Neil, probably on a Trash to Treasure, I decided I needed to get me some of that sweet Moo action. I saved up the pennies and purchased a Duratool D00672, a clone of the very common ZD915. And I have to say, of all of the many tools I've acquired over the last few years, this one has made the biggest difference to how I work and the quality of the end result. If you're wanting to give this hobby a go, you could do a hell of a lot worse than this. It's actually marvellous. Truly a great addition to any workbench. So why did I want one of these? I sat down and wrote a list of what's good and what's bad about both of these tools. I'll start at the top and work my way down. Duratool. Bulky on the workbench, but neat in the hand. Hakko. Bulky in the hand, but neat on the workbench. A nice clear line to be drawn on this first one. The Duratool main base is big and bulky. The IEC power socket protrudes out the back, so with a normal kettle lead, the total space taken from front to back is around 30 centimeters. I immediately ordered a right angle lead to save some space, bringing that down to 26 centimeters. The Hakko has no base station, which is a big win really. Although it does suffer a bit in the size in the hand category. You can clearly see the difference here in this side by side. And although the Hakko is certainly pretty large in comparison, it's still reasonably light and easy to use. Surprisingly so, considering everything that's in here is in here, but is smaller and works better. Right, what happens when you turn them on? Noise! Depends on your own circumstances and environment, but for me, as someone that's usually got a camera running and microphones everywhere, sound is very important. The Hakko, while heating up, is silent. The Duratool, well, the Duratool when it's new is not actually terrible. It's loud enough to annoy you, certainly, but it's not offensive. Not when it's new. At some point during its life, and this happened within a few weeks of me buying my first unit, the Duratool internal fan will start to sound like a blender full of marbles. Here is an early video from my channel in which you can see the method I used to stop the noise.
One of the best tools I've purchased recently is my desoldering station. It is simply brilliant, once you get the hang of how best to use it.
The other noise these make is the moo. I have to admit I prefer the Duratool moo over the Hakko's, let's face it, fart. It's a minor point though. I want to talk next about the build quality, and I'll start with the Hakko as it's still a bit of an unknown to me. It would be easy to read some negative reviews online about anything and jump to a conclusion that the build quality is shocking because some random person broke their unit and wanted to blame someone else. But you could probably find a negative review about anything if you Google hard enough. So I can only go by my own limited experience so far. This is actually my second unit, as the first one turned up pre-broken, apparently new in the box. Side note, don't buy expensive items from Amazon third-party sellers. It will all end in tears. That might not be all Hakko's fault though. Some credit has to be applied when it's a Japanese company that makes the tool, something that usually carries a lot of credibility. So I'll assume that the build quality is good, until I know better one way or the other. The Duratool, on the other hand, is very much a known quantity. When I recommend anyone buy one of these units, the first thing I tell them is to buy another handset. This is because it will, without any doubt, fail eventually, maybe sooner. Even brand new, they don't feel well put together, made from cheap plastic and bendy metal. They're also having to carry a lot of heat, and this is the bit that gets pushed on and leaned on and bashed about. It's going to break. My first one hilariously broke in a very interesting way. Suddenly, during a repair, it started spewing sand all over the board I was working on. At first I was confused about where it could possibly be coming from. Luckily it broke so soon after purchase I was able to send it back to CPC, base station with its noisy fan and all, and get a brand new unit in return. Next, before we get onto the actual desoldering, I want to skip to the cleaning. The Duratool is a huge, massive pain in the arse to clean. This glass tube is where the old solder collects. In the end is a metal disc and a filter. The solder hits the metal disc and solidifies, and the filter stops any contamination from working its way up the pipe into the pump where I assume bad things would happen. During use, it's a good idea to keep this as clean as possible to prevent blockages, which we'll get into later. The method of removing the glass tube is thus. Press the button to release the pressure on the back of the tube. Then, pushing the glass tube forward into the rubber grommet, lever the back end of the tube up. It won't come out without applying quite a lot of force as the glass tube is a bit too long. My first unit was so tight I ended up sanding down the end of the tube to make it fit better, with a finger over the end to prevent the spring from flying out and spreading lumps of old solder everywhere. Remove the tube. Now you can take the rubber stoppers from each end and discard the old solder, taking care to clean it from the metal disc, the spring and the inside of the tube. IPA works well with a wooden stick and helps shift the stubborn bits. Putting it back together is awkward. After putting the spring back onto the rubber bung, you need to hold the metal disc and filter against the spring while levering it back into its place. It's not terrible, but it's tricky if the nozzle is hot. And finally, click the end back into place. And now here is how to clean the Hakko. Don't blink. Pull here to release the pressure. Lift out the tube. Empty the tube. Put the tube back. Press this button. Done. Do you want to see it again? This isn't a complicated mechanism. I don't know why the cheaper units can't have something similar. Right, let's switch these on and see how they work. First, the Duratool, a nice simple display showing the current temperature of the nozzle. Nice big chunky buttons which allow you to set any temperature between 160 degrees C to 480 degrees C. There's also a button for those who prefer their temperature in Fahrenheit. This is perfect and a good use of the bulky case you have to have on your workbench. The Hakko has a power button on the back of the unit and a tiny wheel down here on the base to control the temperature. It has incremental settings from 1 to 4, 1 being 350 degrees C and 4 being 500 degrees C. I prefer to use the Duratool at 330 degrees and was a little concerned I couldn't lower the Hakko to that temperature at first. The only indication you have that the Hakko is heating up is this daft LED on the front of the handle. Honestly, why would you put it there? It says in the instructions that the tool is ready to use when the light flashes. It's not ideal and baffles me why they would put it on the side, most likely facing away from you, which also contains the burny bit. In use, the Hakko seems to have a lot more suction than the Duratool, and it doesn't diminish after a short time. With the Duratool, you can spend a lot of time cleaning out old solder and replacing filters, unclogging the nozzle and tubes, and it will work perfectly well for a short while. And this brings me onto the big bugbear many people have with the Duratool: blockages. Now I suspect some of this is down to a combination of how each person uses their desoldering station and the unique characteristics of how each machine is built. Personally, I only had this one block up infrequently, just enough to make me hate taking it apart, cleaning it and putting it all back together. There are a couple of ways this can end up not sucking or sucking. That's a versatile word. There are a couple of ways that the Duratool can end up clogged. If you don't clear out the collection chamber and don't change the filter often enough, it will lose performance quickly. That's the easy one. You just need to take it apart, clean it and put it back together again. The other way things can go wrong is the tube leading from the nozzle into the collection chamber can become blocked with cold solder. And this is a design flaw of the Duratool, or rather a limitation. The problem here is the heat is concentrated up near the tip of the tool where it's needed to melt the solder it wants to suck. By the time the solder is sucked into the glass tube, it's rapidly cooling from the effect of air being forced past it. And occasionally this waste solder can start to build up in the cool end of the tube. Eventually it will block the tube, and at that point you'll have to take it apart, remove the blockage, clean it and put it all back together again. That blockage can be difficult to shift, and a hint is to heat the solder with a handy soldering iron and push a cleaning rod through the tube. I see in a lot of videos the Duratool being used like this, pointing straight down. And if you think about what happens to the old solder in the collection tube, falling back down onto the not so hot end, well, that's just going to clog up, to be honest. Most of the time I'll try to use it with the board at least angled up enough to avoid this problem. Anyway, that's enough of me being a know-it-all smug-faced git. Hakko make a big deal about the improved heating element and how it'll avoid getting blocked because of this. Solder will be less likely to freeze in the pipe if the pipe stays hot. I'm sure there is something in this, but I'm also sure it will eventually clog. Time will tell. I'm yet to use this for extended periods, but so far it's performed very well in this regard. Another quality of life aspect to consider is the ease of changing nozzles. Let's look at the Hakko first. This comes with a handy tool to help you not burn your hands. The blue buttons on the side are silicone grips that allow you to grip and pull the outer tube off the assembly. And that click-lock action is just the most satisfying thing. Here we are in real time changing the nozzle. While I do that, I should talk about... I'm done. Okay, we can talk about the cost of accessories while I'm changing the Duratool nozzle. We'll have plenty of time there. To change the Duratool nozzle, you need to undo this nut here. This nut in use, being made of metal, is very hot. Knowing the handset is almost a consumable part, I just use a pair of handy pliers to undo the nut. Incidentally, the nozzles for the Duratool are very cheap and quite durable. I bought a number of them with a station of different sizes and have used probably 2 or 3 at most. Right, with that off, using the same pliers, I pull the outer tube and nut off like this. It's really hard to write this script without descending into innuendo. Now I can remove the nozzle and place it carefully somewhere where it won't burn something like my workbench. A new or different size nozzle can then be popped in place. The tube and nut replaced, remembering to use the pliers, and then the nut can be screwed tight again. Look, it's not terrible, but it certainly feels that way after using the Hakko. And for completeness, the Hakko accessories are much more expensive, around £20 for a single nozzle compared to the Duratool style ones that can be had for less than £1 on AliExpress. And while we're on the subject of accessories, I want to talk about the included stands. Hakko provides you with this bent piece of metal. This is in stark contrast to the quality of the rest of the package. I mean, look, it comes in this lovely plastic case with these cleaning tools and the amazing quick change thing. And then this. It almost feels like an afterthought. Oh, we forgot about the stand. What's that? Oh, just bend some of that scrap metal up and stick it in there. The Duratool at least looked like a proper desoldering stand. It came with a tray here for a sponge, but that bit was so terrible I just threw it away. The flaw with this is that they mounted it too low on the side of the station. If the handset didn't have any tube sticking out the end, it would be fine, but half the time when you put this back in the holder, it bounces back out. It's also only held in with this tab by friction, and not very much of it at that. I ended up putting some electrical tape around the end to prevent it working its way loose. Eventually I got fed up and just stuck a proper soldering iron stand on the top of the unit, and that worked well. It's not the best, but it's better than the one that comes with the Hakko. And finally, we should test how well these things work at sucking up solder. After all, desoldering is probably the most important aspect of all this science. I have some scrapped ZX Spectrum Issue 2 boards here I bought from eBay a while back. I had intended to repair them, but they're just too far gone and not even broken in very interesting ways. This ROM here is a good test. I'll desolder this side here with the Duratool using my usual method of reflowing and then removing the solder. The Hakko will desolder this side, which I will also reflow with fresh solder just to make things fair and even. Now, this isn't an exact science. This board has seen better days and been previously worked on, which could mean the pads are already damaged. But I can tell you from the feel alone that the Hakko is just doing a better job. Well, it was until it started to sound like it was blocked. A quick poke with the nozzle cleaning tool and it's back up and running. After removing as much of the solder as I can from that side, let's have a look on the top side. And it's clear to see here on the Duratool side, there's just more solder left over. The Hakko side is much cleaner looking. A quick heat with the hot air station and the chip pops out easily, with no damage on either side. Off camera, I ran a few more tests and I found I can remove the solder on this same board using the Hakko without having to reflow it first. This will save me a lot of time and prevent wasting new solder. It's not a big leap to suggest that the Hakko is better, it just is. It keeps the nozzle at a stable temperature better than the Duratool, it has better suction, and the tip conducts heat better than the cheaper tool. But, and this is the important question, and what we are all waiting to hear.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Okay. Is the Hakko worth the money? Is it really worth 4 times as much as the Duratool? Well, that depends. If a desoldering station is something you're likely to be using every day, then the answer might possibly be yes. In fact, yes. It is a yes. No doubt. Just yes. I wasn't sure until I tried it for myself how much better the Hakko is, but yes, I think for my own use case, this is worth every penny. I do a whole lot of desoldering and this will save me heaps of time and put the boards I work on at much less risk of damage. But what about you? What if you only repair 1 or 2 machines in a year under normal circumstances? Is the Hakko worth it for occasional use? No, not even close. The Duratool is a great tool, and for any level of repairer, I'd recommend it to be close to the top of their list of tools to acquire. Compared to a manual solder sucker, it is an outstanding upgrade, and you won't regret buying one. Well, not until it blocks up and you have to remove that flipping glass tube for the 15th time. The Hakko is the better tool, but at this price it's just not worth that much extra. Spend the difference on a nice oscilloscope or a good soldering iron. About that price. The Hakko on Amazon was first sold in December 2021 at £299. Its current Amazon price is an eye-watering £452. I know a lot has been going on politically and otherwise around the world, but seriously, that's a 50% increase. If the Hakko was still £300, I think I'd feel pretty much the same about the value of both units though. And there we go, the Duratool is now going to a better home at the Happy Little Diodes YouTube channel, where Jim will probably find ways to make it even better than the Hakko. You should subscribe to him just in case he does. And to me. Right, time to get repairing.